Welcome to FedScoop TV and StateScoop TV. I'm Jake Williams. We're here for our Public Sector Innovation Series, and our guest today is Michigan's Chief Technology Officer, Rod Davenport. Rod, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for inviting.
So Rod, there's so much talk about innovation that it begins to mean many things to many people. What does innovation mean to you?
So those that have heard me speak before have probably heard this, but you haven't heard it, so I'll tell you like it's brand new. So I think about innovation with lowercase and uppercase I, innovation. So when you think about, or when most people think about innovation, I think that they relate it back to invention. So before there was an iPhone, there was no iPhone. If you want to go all the way back to before there was radio, there was no radio, right? And so the first instance of that is invention, and people think about that as like a capital I, innovation. Then once the concept has been brought to life and there's other versions of it and it's enhanced, I think that that's other forms of innovation. But typically in state government, we don't invent things. But what does happen is that we take existing technologies and they're new to us. And so that's sort of what I think of when I think about the lowercase I innovation. It's things that maybe, even have kind of reached a certain level of popularity, a certain level of safety, but that they're new to the state. And as we try to integrate those, there's cultural impacts and there's impacts to the technology ecosystem, and those are the kind of things that, that I think are the umbrella of innovation.
Huh, that's an interesting perspective. So, we heard a lot today about cloud and VMs. How do cloud and virtualization continue to drive efficiency, effectiveness, and savings for agencies?
Well, so I think the innovation's got a pretty strong track record, right? And if you think about it conceptually, more machines on a single machine, right? So there's some pretty clear gains there. Cloud. I think we're past the point of trendiness on cloud. I think that it's definitely kind of a market force. IT likes it from a certain perspective, right? We don't have to be burdened with so much capacity planning. Running a data center is challenging. So, and to the extent that no one state, although California and Texas might disagree, no one state probably is large enough to really achieve the kind of economies of scale that like an Amazon or an Azure can. So definitely there's a place for that. I think that there are probably always going to be certain systems that states will want to keep housed internally. So our strategy is more of a hybrid solution. We've been working on an internal private cloud for the past couple of years, and then setting up an infrastructure to be able to burst the public cloud, or even host things purely in a public cloud where the data classification and that sort of thing would lend itself to.
So do these new modernized technologies make it so agencies' enterprises are more secure, or is security more difficult as they add new, more sophisticated inputs into an agency's IT architecture?
I think security is always a tricky topic. I think that you can make a case to say that large cloud providers are potentially more secure because the large variety and types of systems that they host attract a large variety and types of attacks, and so they're probably exposed to a higher volume, and because of that, they've hopefully developed defenses against it. That said, as you start to complicate your infrastructure with on-prem and then hybrid, there's just a lot more pieces to keep track of, and I think your attack surface is increased. So it's a little bit of a non-answer to the question. I'd say that cloud is probably secure. You're going to have to rely more on external auditing to make sure that the cloud providers are adhering to the FedRAMP and that sort of, those sorts of security measures. And then the remedies are going to be more contractual. So emotionally, I think people struggle with it a little bit, that it's not our people. You always have the belief that your own people are going to fight the hardest, and there may be some truth to that. But clearly the large scope of cloud providers, if something does happen, there's a lot more pressure that's brought to bear on them from a larger customer base. So.
And so, looking forward, what can we expect next as agencies modernize their infrastructures?
So I think there'll probably be a larger adoption of cloud. Virtualization probably will continue, its march forward. On the horizon of, new emerging tech, I think Internet of Things is certainly something that's on the radar. Machine learning advances in artificial intelligence. That may, need a little more maturing before state governments are fully ready to embrace it. But I think that technology will continue its trend in terms of progress. And at the end of the day, the crystal ball only stretches so far. I think we've had a lot of examples where there have been these sorts of discontinuous breaks in the technology where there's something that's actually brand new. It sort of goes back to the capital I invention innovation piece, right? So I think that the tech industry will continue their path of coming up with brand new things that we will both like and fear at the same time.
Yeah. Well, capital T, thanks for being with us today. Appreciate having you and appreciate hearing what you're up to.
All right. Thanks.
For more about what Rod's up to in the state of Michigan, check out statescoop.com. And again, this is FedScoop TV and StateScoop TV for our Public Sector Innovation Series. Thanks for watching.